Hi, I'm Vince,
And I'm Marty.
and we're from JazzKat Amplifiers, and we're here today to talk to you about our TomKat amplifier, world famous TomKat amplifier, to hopefully give you a little information that can help you use it better. This is our TomKat right here, and I just want to talk initially about a couple of things that is more general to most amplifiers. When you're looking at the amplifier itself, the first thing that you can see, of course, is this panel with all its different knobs on it. That panel represents what we call the preamp. Most guitar amplifiers are made up of three different sections. You have the preamp, which the guitar itself plugs right into and gives you the control over the sound of the guitar. Inside here, you have the amplifier section, and then powering the entire amplifier, you have what's called a power supply. Now, many people don't think much about the power supply because you see all these different advertisements of an amp of 100 watts, 300 watts, 1,000 watts, and it always sounds so great. But what we're going to show you today, especially Marty's going to go over some things with you and show you some scope readings, is that a lot of these numbers are fake. And we'll show you why that is. I don't want to necessarily talk too much about what competitors do, but here's what I can tell you. I can tell you, and we're going to show you, Marty will show you in a little bit, that our amplifier is a true 150 watts. And some people say, well, what difference does that make? I mean, this one sounds okay and that one sounds okay. Well, the difference is that when you're playing, especially when you get to louder passages with the guitar, if the amplifier doesn't have enough power in the power supply, if it's not strong enough, then what's going to happen is it's not going to give you the full sound. In other words, we call that headroom. And what will happen is you'll send the amplifier into clipping. And what does clipping sound like?
Distortion.
Right. So unless you want to play like Eddie Van Halen or some type of rock or blues player, which I'm sure most jazz musicians don't want to play like, the more power that you have, the cleaner that your tones will be, and the louder that you can play in certain passages. So it gives you a greater ability to have a louder passage and then a softer passage, so that you have more enhancement to the song and to the solos. So our amplifier is rated at 150 watts, and you'll see, as I mentioned before, how we can show you that it is a true 150 watts. So you have the preamp, you have the amplifier section inside, you have the power supply, and then of course we have the speaker. And it's the way this is built that gives this amplifier the sound that it has. One of the other things that sometimes we don't talk a lot about is the cabinet. And we consider these cabinets ported, tuned cabinets. As a matter of fact, if you look in the front, you can't see it in the video, but if you look at your amplifier when you get it in the front of a TomKat, you'll see there's a port right there. These ports aren't just holes that we put into the cabinets, right?
The port is tuned to the cabinet. It's the proper frequency. It allows the speaker to breathe more freely and give you the full range of sound. And all that power gives you the dynamic range for your guitar.
Exactly, and that's what's really important. When you're playing jazz, jazz music is very demanding. And not that some of the other types of music aren't, but in jazz, dynamic range is very, very important. And so this amplifier is built to give you, like Marty just said, the greatest dynamic range possible, so that when you're playing those real nice quiet passages and then you go up to those brighter or heavier passages, your guitar will be able to speak properly, and the frequencies will be able to come through so that the people who are listening to you can hear what you're trying to do. Remember, a guitar and an amplifier is like the voice. When people sing with their voice, the amplifier and the guitar act the same way. In terms of a player. A lot of jazz players don't sing necessarily, but they do sing, or they do have their voice through the guitar and through the amplifier. So we've designed this to give you the greatest range of control over your instrument and over your sound. As important as the guitar is to your sound, if you don't have the proper amplifier, then you're still not going to get the right sound out of your instrument. So we've built this in such a way, and Marty will go through that in a few minutes when he goes through the preamp, and shows you the different controls that are here, because sometimes for some people it could seem like there's a lot of controls there, but there really aren't. They're very easy to learn, and they can allow any user to dial in any sound that he wants. The other thing that Marty will talk about later when he talks about the preamp is that this amplifier is very versatile, meaning some jazz players also play through an acoustic guitar. If you're that type of person, you can still use this amp. You don't need a separate amp. You can play acoustic guitar through here and get a really beautiful sound out of it. Sometimes some jazz players play a little harder, and they do kind of go from that pure jazz sound into a kind of a jazz blues sound. Again, because of the fact that this amplifier has a tube in it, you can dial that tube in such a way that you can address that sound that you're looking for. And again, Marty will talk more about that when he gets into the preamp. So what we love about the TomKat, and Marty and I have spent, believe me, hundreds of hours over years designing this amp to make it the way it is. And what we really appreciate is the feedback we get from so many players. From players who are just pure hardcore jazz, bop jazz, all the way to those players who like to play, kind of a bluesy jazz. And yet they all say the same thing is, wow, when I got this amplifier, I just couldn't stop playing it because it allowed me to dial in the sound that I've been looking for. And I've had all these other amplifiers that I couldn't get. So hopefully this video will help you to learn how to use this better and get the sound that you're looking for. And of course, you're always welcome to give us a call or contact Marty.
Yes.
Marty, of course, as you know, is the engineer. Anything that we can do to help you, we're certainly here for you.